something we feel should have been done immediately after the war. There should have been a special commission to take care of the destruction and the effects of the civil war on the Igbo. A group of very mercantile people, hardworking people, who on their own, where would you think you would have taken money to do all they had done? Almost all the Igbo people that I know, after the Civil War, the billionaires are all self-made. Whether in the aviation industry, you look at Oyema, whether you look at Chief Okonkwo, who just found out that he wasn't the only one who sponsored Gobudon Gige. Yeah. And that Ifeanyi Ubah was also there. So I expect him and Gobudon Gige to go and discuss outside. That is United, whether I make out for, and so many others. I can tell you that the Igbos are self-made. The Igbos are very proud people. The Igbos are very mercantile. The Igbos are the only ethnic group in Nigeria that when they enter Kano State, they build houses in Kano State for themselves. They don't rent. They turn around the place. When they enter Lagos, they own almost 2 or 3 local governments and build houses and live there. There's no place they go to, they don't make impact. But other Nigerians will come to my state and rent houses and stay for 15 years and go back without building a structure. But the Igbos are not the same. They are not like that.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has urged youths in the Southeast to shun armed struggle against the federal government, stressing that lasting development can only thrive in an atmosphere of peace. So the Senate president is telling, Igbo youths to shun armed struggle, that they can only get what? That they can only get development in an atmosphere of peace. That means no peace, no development. That is what Akpabio is saying. Now, Akpabio made the appeal on Saturday at the funeral of a former administrative secretary of the Default Oil Mineral Producing Area Development Commission, Sir Albert Nnamani, held in Ikem, Enugu State. So Akpabio was, in Enugu State on Saturday, on the 3rd day of May 2026. That was where he made this appeal to Igbo youths. All right. Addressing mourners, the Senate president called on leaders and elders in the region to guide the younger generation away from violent agitation, warning that any attempt to assert independence through armed confrontation with the state would fail. So the Senate president told the elders, the leaders and the elders in the region in Enugu State that they should guide their younger ones. They should guide their younger ones. Also, he warned them that any attempt, any attempt to assert independence through armed confrontation with the state would fail. So the Senate president made it clear that if you try to go into war with the federal government, that you are going to fail. That is the message. Now, it went further to say, he cautioned that armed struggle against the federal government would be counterproductive, noting that the power of the state would always prevail. So Akpabio made it very clear that, see, you cannot win the federal government. Oh, yes. Please, stay with me. We are getting to the news gradually. Now, it went further to say, okay, for Ndi Igbo, I want to plead with you to continue to maintain the peace and watch the youth of today. They don't understand politics. Did you hear that? They don't understand politics. They don't understand development. You can only have development in an area of peace. Akpabio said that Ndi Igbo don't understand politics and they don't understand development. That if you understand these two things, you will understand that it only comes in a place where there is peace. Follow me. It went further to say, a situation whereby you try to wrestle power and assert independence through armed struggle from the federal government will fail. The state power will always overwhelm you, he added. Akpabio made it very clear that, see, the federal government will always win any power that come to, tussle with it. Akpabio, however, assured that the National Assembly was willing to address concerns of the Southeast through legislative means, including the possibility of creating an additional state in the region to ensure parity with other geographical zones. So it is because of Biafra agitation that they want to create this Anioma state. Now I understand. Okay, that is why he said, okay, including the possibility of creating an additional state in the region to ensure parity. Parity means equity with other geographical zones. But then, if you ask me, the people agitating are not actually asking for another state. To the best of my knowledge, what I know that those agitating, what their request is for them to be apart from Nigeria. Otherwise, some of them are actually agitating that you bring infrastructure to the Southeast, not another state. So why are they, the people agitating for another thing? The legislative arms are doing another thing. Oh my Jesus. This is quite interesting. So it is because of agitation they want to create another state, Anioma state. It's all right. It went further to say, stay with me. It went further to say, he said the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu was committed to correcting perceived imbalances, urging stakeholders to pursue their demands through dialogue and negotiation. Please, did I just hear this well? He said the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu was committed to correcting perceived imbalances. That means they wanted to do some things, for the Southeast before. That is, this was. So they are no more committed. Unless they made a mistake here. But according to this news, this was that they wanted that now they don't care. So he went further to say, urging stakeholders to pursue their demands through dialogue and negotiation. Who you want to negotiate with? According to him, through peaceful means and negotiation, we shall get our rightful place in Nigeria. I want this to happen in your lifetime. It's all right. This is what the Senate President is saying. The Senate President also expressed concern over the impact of the sit-at-home order in parts of the Southeast, describing it as detrimental to the region's economy and business activities, particularly in commercial hubs like Onitsha. So, so the Senate President said that the sit-at-home was causing harm. Detrimental is something causing harm. Right? So the Senate President said that the sit-at-home was causing harm, in the Southeast economy, especially in Onitsha. Commercial hubs like Onitsha. No wonder Soludo did everything he did to stop that. It's all right. So on this, it went further to say, he recalled the economic hardship faced by the Igbo after the Civil War, lamenting what he described as incomplete post-war reconstruction in the Southeast and South-South regions. So he knew that the Igbos faced economic hardship after the Civil War. He knew, right? It's all right. Akpabio prayed for justice and fairness for the Igbo. Akpabio prayed. Akpabio prayed for justice and fairness. Did they pray for fairness? Okay. Akpabio prayed for justice and fairness for the Igbo, expressing hope that long-lasting grievances would be addressed within the current generation. He prayed for fairness. He also paid tribute to the late Nnamani, commending his contributions to the development of the Niger Delta during his tenure at OMPADCE. I think this is Oil Mineral Producing Area Development Commission. All right, of course, Nnamani was the defunct, secretary, the former secretary. And noting that his leadership helped lay a foundation for progress in the region. So this is what the Senate President has said. The most funny part of this news is where he said that he prayed for justice and fairness. He prayed for justice and fairness. Religion. He prayed for justice and fairness for Igbo. It's all right. Now, I'm going to allow you to listen to where a senator comments in the Senate chambers about the marginalization that Igbos are facing in Nigeria. A senator in the Senate chambers stood up and talked about the marginalization that Igbos are facing in Nigeria. I'm going to allow you now to listen to what Akpabio replied him. You know, I tell you, most times we are good at talking, but when it comes to action, we are nowhere to be found. And that is why somebody is praying for peace and justice. It's all right. Please, do well. I beg you, do well to listen to this news. Then you drop your comment in the comment section. What you think about it, please.
So when will Southeast even have lion's share in any particular project? Mr. President, if this is an omission, it is an expensive omission. The Southeast cannot continually to be treated the way Nigeria is treating the Southeast. Let me give you an instance. Out of the dams that were listed here on the Southeast, Ivo Dam was last funded about 12 years ago with a 5 billion naira spent on it, and it has been abandoned by Nigeria for the last 12 years. I had written 3 letters to the Ministry of Water Resources. We have done everything possible to see if they can bring up Ivo Dam, and here a zone is allocated 66 billion and the entire south is at 0. What kind of omission is that?
Mr. President, I think we should be very mindful of commenting on the infrastructure renewed or projects, because we should see it holistically. This is just a segment of the renewed hope agenda on the infrastructure. We have a road infrastructure, we have power infrastructure, we have let me learn, please. Yes. Mr. President, I have the floor, and let me
you are protected.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. President. So in doing this, we should consider what has been allocated in the other sectors. I'm not saying that the Southeast should be excluded. No, on the contrary, they should also be included, but we have to bear in mind what the whole infrastructure project are all about. Development of the whole country, irrespective of the state and
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, of recent, there was a release of over 1.3 trillion naira, and the Southwest had the lion's share. And I believe if you go deep into it, if you check the ministry's budget, you will see some balance. And this thing is just being released gradually.
Thank you for the guidance.
So we shouldn't jump into conclusions.
Thank you for the guidance.
We shouldn't jump into conclusions.
Thank you,
that
Mr.
is
President.
Imbalance, that is sidelining. Rather, we should wait till we get the true picture. Thank you very much.
I'll be brief. From what, with due respect to Senator Lero, who said lion's share to the Southwest, when will Southeast even have lion's share in any particular project? Mr. President, if this is an omission, it is an expensive omission. The Southeast cannot continually to be treated the way Nigeria is treating the Southeast. Let me give you an instance. Out of the dams that were listed here on the Southeast, Ivo Dam was last funded about 12 years ago with a 5 billion naira spent on it, and it has been abandoned by Nigeria for the last 12 years. I had written 3 letters to the Ministry of Water Resources. We have done everything possible to see if they can bring up Ivo Dam, and here a zone is allocated 66 billion and the entire south is at 0. What kind of omission is that, Mr. President?
Thank you.
We should be treated better than this, sir.
Thank you. Senator,
Mr. President.
yes, Senator Aliyu, Mr.
President, a very ordinary person. Mr. President, in support of what Alero has just observed, I want to also point out that look at the prayer of the move of this motion, asking for 380 billion, which is bigger put together than all other allocations in all roads. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Let's be guided by common sense and reasoning. Thank you. I do.
Senator.
Mr. President, I just want to talk generally. You see, this is a very good issue. That's pointing out something that's going on. Many of us have been crying of marginalization. Many of us have cried on several issues where North is completely was neglected. And I'm sure this may not be the end. Mr. President, no, I want to hear this story. You are the policy makers. I want to draw the attention of the makers of the Renewed Hope agenda. I want them to bear in mind that every part of this country is part of Nigeria, and every part of this country deserves infrastructural development. It is not wise in allocating resources to sometimes over-allocate to one zone at expense of other zones. Here on this floor, I talk about the way North was completely neglected in terms of road infrastructure, where trillions are being spent on some section of the country. No cover is being spent in the Northeast. We said it. We also raised the issue of agriculture, where money was being allocated to some zones and our zone was not there. So, Mr. President is for Nigeria and it's for other Nigerians. The makers of this Renewed Hope agenda should be advised to bear in mind the diversity and the necessity to cover every section of this country in allocated resources. It's not only this one. There are so many areas, and that if we want to go through one by one, we will continue to debate. So I think there's general need for them to review their position and ensure that every part of this country, whether southeast, southwest, south, northeast, we all need development, and we need to be allocated adequately and fairly and equitably in whatever they do. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. I have just issue is something that can be dealt with administratively. I told him that we can call the minister, talk to him, or the DG budget, that there's an omission here, and that will be corrected. Because as human beings, we cannot be perfect all the time. It could be a genuine omission, right? So, and it is on that premise that the leader just approached me now. We've taken it upon ourselves, the leadership will interface with the relevant, office of the executive arm of the government so that we can resolve this issue. It's not something, it's our government. And we have a president that listens to, the plight of his people. We have never gone to him to ask for anything of this kind of thing. This kind of thing without, getting resolved immediately. Somebody who listens. And even the ministers, they always listen. Whatever we bring to them that are in the interest of the nation, they listen and get that done. So let us not over debate this matter. We have just consulted. We'll, go ahead and meet the relevant office to sort out this matter. What we need is results to see that there's equity in the distribution of the wealth of this country, and we know the government is doing very